himself saying that most of the oppositions are working for him. Now, there is already a structure. If you're talking about the judiciary, which is the last hope of the common man in Nigeria, it has already been hijacked. Even before going to courts, in litigation matters, you already know who is the winner of the case, even before the case is being adjudicated. Now, if you began to look at rule of law, look at transparency, look at accountability, look at probity, look at other concomitants that makes up a functional liberal democracy, you will discover the one in Nigeria is missing out.
So you don't have liberal democracy in Nigeria. That's what I say.
The democracy we are having, it is a democracy still in practice, simply because it is lacking the major concomitants that's going to carry the hope of a common
What do you
man.
call this then if it's not democracy?
If this, I will say to some extent that Nigerian democracies seems to have a kind of an authoritative system of government.
So it's authoritative
Authoritative
democracy.
democracy.
All
Yeah.
right, Chelsea.
So I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that the opposition now are working for the president. So the big question here is, have we ever truly had an opposition? Because most of these parties have the same ideologies. They come out and say the same things. We'll fix this, we'll do that. But they don't have like a core value or a core difference from each of themselves. So basically, have we ever had an opposition party?
Okay, you can remember in 2015 when Goodluck Jonathan was wanted re-election, and Musari and President Muhammadu Buhari emerged as the president in 2015. A major reason the opposition really worked hard at the very time using the insecurity in the northeast, the Boko Haram insurgency in the year 2014, 2015, when it was at its height, and then it becomes a national issue in Nigeria, a burning issue that people were yearning and agitating. There is need for leadership in Nigeria. As earlier mentioned by Barrister, problem of Nigeria is not only the leadership but also the followership. We have what we call passive followers in Nigeria. Followers that do not really ask questions, that do not really challenge the status quo, that do not really show resentment, that do not really try to ask questions on some fundamental issues. But in most developed societies of the world, we have what we call conforming followers. Conforming followers are followers who know their rights. They act within the ambits of the law. They do not act contrary. But in Nigeria, you discover that even when you have conforming followers working towards achieving a particular goal, you discover that the political class has a system that they're going to hijack it. And at the end of the day, it's going to be violent. You can see the NSAS protesters. It was the major intent in the very first place was purposeful, but it was hijacked. So you could see that once upon a time in 2015, we had an opposition. That was what brought Muhammadu Buhari into office. But even when Muhammadu Buhari came into power, the problem of insecurity has remained up till today. It keeps on becoming worse and worse day by day. And I really feel that democracy, which is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, as been put forward by Abraham Lincoln, I truly believe in Nigeria, it is not really for the people. But I really feel that democracy, it is a government of the rich, by the rich, and for the rich. And you could also see politics is defined as the authoritative allocation of values with equity. Believe me, in Nigeria, power is not being shared with equity. The power that be has always been in charge of everything. And according to Professor Harold Laswell, who says that politics is he who gets what, when, and how. It means that politics is strategic, but the strategic configuration of politics should be based on rule of law. If rule of law is being put in place, automatically we're going to get it right in this country, because the questions still remain. For example, they just concluded the primaries election that is going on in the APC right now. You could see there are a lot of tensions, a lot of issues. You could see the indiscrepancies really shows to you that the major factors that really makes a workable democracy is not working. Some are saying it's consensus, though the electoral law is talking about consensus and as well as direct primaries. You understand? But you could see a lot of agitations from the various zones in Nigeria. And I really feel that if Nigeria is ready to work again, we must work in tandem with the law, and we must have citizens that are conforming. And our leaders are instrumental. They are not societal. Instrumental leaders are leaders that use their public offices for personal gain and to help their friends and family. But when we talk about societal leaders, these are leaders that tends to really take the pains of the people in society and see that those fundamental issues in society are solved for the betterment of the society.
Barrister Adama, he made mention of opposition and how, like he said, they have been used. In Nigeria's history, since democracy, have we truly had opposition? And the flip question to that is, how do we define opposition in a democratic system? And what is the role of opposition, rather, in a democratic system?
No, I will want to make my set out from this very position is that democracy is relative. But the basic thing that is very universal is that it must be a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, as universally enunciated by Abraham Lincoln, the great leader of the world, who for over a century now, in fact, everything he has done, it still lives around us. Now, when you look at that position, you see in every system, even you want to make a comparative analysis, even though I don't fancy that, but even if you look at through Africa, let's take even South Africa, for instance. Julius Malema, you hear, is not actually the entire party that comes up as an opposition. He has actually been the only voice that you hear in the parliament, on the floor of the parliament. But it has not been a party thing. Now, let's come up to even talk about the opposition, whether I've had opposition or not. What I've discovered in Nigeria is that political parties, which is by definition actually people coming up with common interest, common goal to what? Attain what? Power. Now, we must not lose sight of that. Every political party, the aim is to what? Form a government. And if that is it, what is the role of opposition? That is why it pains my heart when at times things tend to work for us. We try to politicize it, even though Nigeria has tended to use that word in a negative form. Politicization of any act is not supposed to be a negative thing. It means it is a consideration for the general benefit of the people, because that is what politics is. That is why Kwame Nkrumah, every day I have opportunity, I quote him. He said politics is a realization of what is possible. So if I'm politicizing a policy, it means I'm doing what is possible for the common good of what? Everybody. Now, we had in 2023, if you remember, Professor Pat Otomi came up to say they was going to form a shadow cabinet. And there was protest. DSS invited the government of the day, all of those things clamped down on him. Now, what is the work of opposition? Opposition first. If you want to go even by the common government we did in secondary school, they'll tell you is a watchdog. Which means you are the conscience of the people. And you are also the conscience of the government, because what the opposition does is a bridge, balancing those in power and those that are being led, to say that let things work. So if I want to be a good opposition, a committed opposition, a patriotic opposition, what mechanism or parameters can I use to calibrate whether the government in power is working or not? It means I could come up as an opposition to say, you play the role of a shadow minister of education. If you were the minister of education, what would you have done? You play the role of being the attorney general of the federation and minister of justice. Likewise, other positions. Now you begin to analyze what you do. But most times again, because of maybe the appellation, opposition, it means you are always opposing. It means nothing is ever done right. But in an objective process of an opposition is that in this area you have done well, but this area you have not done well. That is, you are trying to checkmate the system for the common good of what? The nation. But you find out what we do in opposition is, it is in fact a concatenation of different people for the interest of what? Wrestling power. So when you wrestle power, what now happens? Let's take for instance when the ADC came up. Look at the people who converged at that very group. Now, if we must want to look at antecedents as we try to do, because for Christianity is that, in fact, permit me, the book of Ezekiel says, if a righteous man turns away from his righteousness into wickedness, the Lord will not remember his righteousness. Likewise, if a wicked man turns away from his wickedness to righteousness, the Lord will remember. So if you come from that perspective, I might be a bad politician today. Nothing stops me to be a good politician if I'm doing the right thing. So why will you use the past of being bad to now judge that if present I'm doing well? And that is why there's mutual suspicion in the system, even within the opposition. And one thing you also know why opposition hardly works in Nigeria, it is the configuration of Nigeria. We are a multi-ethnic society, and also religion is one of those tools. What is meant to even give us a life hereafter, we use it to become a destructive instrument, a weapon. And what do I mean? If, for instance, we come on like what is going on, what saw the death of PDP? It was the issue of zoning. Politics is all about, democracy is all about equity. Even federalism itself, where the rule of law is also part of it. It is with equality before the law. What is wrong if we say let's do a merry-go-round? Merry-go-round, it means Chelsea is in this position. She will come and be in my position. I will take her position. I go where you still come back to your position again. So what is wrong with rotation? And that is why when people say zoning or rotational leadership limits competence or it does not bring good governance, I said no. I said even if today you zone presidency to this street, Akila Machunga Street, you must have a competent person. Zoning does not negate competency. And because the politics we play, there must be sentiment in politics whether you like it or not. But I'm a proponent of universal sentiment. And what are those universal sentiments? He has alluded to a few of them. Are you a man of probity? If you have integrity, the world over, anywhere you go, they will know you are a man of integrity. Are you competent? If you're competent and you're knowledgeable, anywhere you go, on any platform, everybody knows you are. Are you somebody who is service-oriented? Are you proactive? Are you committed? Are you disciplined? Anywhere you go, even somebody is meeting for the first time can tell this is who you are. Those are the sentiments I want to guide our polity. But not the kind of sentiment of saying, what tribe are you? What group are you? What religion are you? Presently, people say the opposition are working against. If that is the case, but if we're in a country where things work, even if we have 100 political parties, it shouldn't be a problem for us to determine who our leaders are.
All right. Let me go to Mr. Longhat. He made mention of something, and I think that's one of the issues I have. Do we need morality in defining opposition? I ask because, for example, like you said, in the AGC, it is a conglomerate of past leaders, whether it's governors, senators, or whatever position on the whole, whether it is Atiku Abubakar, who was the former vice president, or Malam Neso El-Rufai, former governor, or Rotimi Amechi, who was a senator, and the likes. When we look at the morality of these persons when they were in power, their morality do not smack of people who are higher than current system. So if we are going to have opposition, do we also need to place the morality on the table and say, hey, you do not exactly stand high on the morality ranking to be able to oppose what is currently going on?
Okay, it will interest you to know that as the way it's been practiced in developed societies of the world, like United States of America, if you're contesting for an election, your precedence, your achievements in life is what people tends to see. That's why somebody even in his bedroom can vote you from the instance, because it is glaring that the morality in you is up to standard. But in Nigeria, it's not all about morality.
So morality doesn't count.
Morality does not really count in
Should it
Nigeria.
count, though?
It should count. Morality is supposed to be count, but within the cycle of power, they have ruled out morality. It's about the power that be in Nigeria. And it is expected that's why we are sensitizing the citizens that it's better for us to go with morality than to go with people who have a sentiment of religion, sentiment of ethnicity, sentiment of this person is from my side. You understand? It is high time. Nigeria is too matured to begin to look at politics from the angle of sentiment, as he had said earlier. You understand? We need to bring on board the major factors that makes a good leader. There must be integrity. There must be good moral. There must be probity. There must be accountability. There must be good records on the side of the person. What are those things the person have done in the past? What are some of the achievements of the person that is still reflecting in national development of our country? Those are the fundamental questions we need to ask ourselves before we choose those that are going to govern us.
Okay, so now looking at the whole idea of sentiment, can it ever truly be a democracy or a political system without sentiment? Because there's no way you will not feel like you can work better with someone that is your tribe or is your religion. And then secondly, after that, can we talk about the strength of opposition in this coming election? Can they stand face with the ruling incumbent president? Can opposition take charge in the several offices, like in governorship? Can we have a good opposition in this next race?
Okay, it will interest you to know that if you look at the way the political atmosphere is moving right now, you understand, you could see that the APC have almost about 24 governors who are already in APC right now. There are about 70 something senators, and then they have about almost about 340 or something House of Reps members. If you look at this configuration, you understand that they are fully prepared. But let's look at the opposition. Are we talking about NDC? Are we talking about PDP? Are we talking about Labour Party? Now, when we talk about Labour Party, who is that person with the credibility in Labour Party that can be able to face Mr. President? And when we talk about NDC, do you really look at, because if you look at NDC, if you look at the calculation is that let them have a vice presidential candidate from the north so that they can be able to break the power of vote from the north. Just like what happened in NNPC, as I earlier said, when Kwankwaso was the presidential candidate in 2023. Now, in 2027, it may even be the game plan of the APC so that the same thing that happened in 2023 can still happen. That's why Kwankwaso is there. Because politics is he who gets what, when, and how. It means that it has to do with calculation. We're talking about geopolitics. And when we're talking about geopolitics here, the major things that you need to consider is you look at the configuration of the various zones in Nigeria. And mind you, in politics, you must have to also, somebody that you don't like in politics, you can as well as tell him, yes, where your standpoint, I like your standpoint, despite the fact you're in Labour Party, remain in Labour Party. But the calculation is that you being in that geopolitical zone, you are going to break the power of votes that is supposed to go for the other person who can merge up to the major contender of that particular position. So Nigerians are not educated and well sensitized to understand what we call geopolitics, to understand how sentiment can be set into politics, still aiming at achieving the desired goal of the person who plot those plans.
All right, let me go to Barrister Adama. He made mention of geopolitics. And I'm looking at the opposition parties right now, not just in 2026, but I'm looking at opposition parties in the last 20 years plus. And my biggest question is, have they actually helped us grow democratically? Have they helped the nation get better? I'll give a very typical example. In 2015 or thereabouts, 2014, I can't remember the exact year, when Goodluck Jonathan first floated the idea of fuel subsidy, opposition party, led by current President Muhammadu Buhari, were at the forefront of saying this is not going to work. And they clamped down whatever idea Jonathan had. One would say that if that had been done then, we might have seen the benefits of that now. It seems, with that example, that opposition has taken us backwards instead of pushing our polity and democracy forward.
No, like I had stated earlier, politics is local, and that also goes to a national level. That is why what thrives in Nigeria may not thrive in America. Now, when you look at the two major political parties in America, you know that the Democrats are liberals, the Republicans are conservative, but that does not take away that the dividends of governance are not given to the people. All parties believe in this, but is that the way we do, the way the Republicans will go about achieving all those amenities to be given is different. Also, the Democrats. So when we talk about ideology at times, we look at ideology as if it's a totally different thing. No, ideology should be tailored towards the needs of Nigeria. To get this ideology, it means it's not a political party, but what distincts them is the manner of approach of arriving there. Now, coming back to your question, that was why for some of us, I was a proponent to say, if Goodluck Jonathan had succeeded in 2015, Nigeria would have been better off for it. And what are my reasons? That is the first time a president that ensured after his predecessor Yar'Adua to ensure that there will be due process in Nigeria. And Nigerian politics is not known by that. And that is why people saw, because he insisted on due process, people looked at it as what? Weakness. And they used it against it, because in Nigeria you must muzzle everybody. Once you empower, in fact, is a tool in your hand to oppress the other people. But even though Karl Marx has said, yes, it can be. But it's also in the hands of what? The common people too, to make you uncomfortable. Now, if Goodluck, look at when he said this and people took it out of context. That fighting corruption is not arresting somebody and jailing him. Look at the Almajiri educational system he was bringing in the north. Even people who criticize that, the Ganduji, the Tambawa, later, even El-Rufai confessed that that was the best system, the best way to have approached that system. That is one patriotic man that looked beyond his ethnic geopolitical zone and looked at what? One Nigeria. It is the same one man in his regime. He was also accused of giving more of the Northerners appointment than the Southerners. That is one man who had one project, Nigeria. Now, on the point he was also making to say our politics is geopolitical. But anybody who has followed this system diligently, with a cursory look at it, you'll find out that 2023 changed the system. It was the first time in Nigeria that youths, even people were using their money to campaign for somebody. Why in other political parties, even when you bring a t-shirt and a face cap, you need to pay money for the person to wear. But Peter Obi was somebody that people were contributing money to do that. And what was it again? He was bringing a semblance of giving people a sense of belonging. And if he has won, I believe that corruption would have been reduced, because majority of the Nigerian youths were looking at it that merit is a key thing. What you have and what you can do, regardless of connection, your competence will place you at every point. That's like the preacher says, show me a man who is wise, he will dine with what? Kings and what? Queens. That is what he was supposed to bring up. Now, if you also look at that election of 2023, it actually went beyond geopolitical settings. If Peter Obi could win in Lagos, where when he was a governor, Fashola repatriated the Igbos back, especially from Anambra, back to the east, and yet this man won election there. Then come to the Middle Belt. Come to other, yes, the north he must have performed woefully. But if you also look at the ratios put together now, anybody also telling you that Kwankwaso may be working for Tinubu is a conjecture, and I don't have any quarrel with that. But if we also put up together a comparative analysis of what happened in 2023, you'll find out that if Kwankwaso is not a pushover as far as the north is concerned, and Peter Obi, whether you like it or not, you could see NDC was a party that should have even participated in the 2023 election. Even when court gave judgment and said, no, this party is eligible, the past INEC chairman did not bring it up until this came and saw this judgment. It's not as if NDC was just registered within this short period. It's a party that was in court and won its case in court that INEC should recognize it. So the recognition just came at this point. Now, when these two people just went into it, it changed. Whether they succeed in power or not, believers in the ideology of these people, if we must go by antecedents, these are two people in all their leadership have never been invited by any anti-graft agency. They've never been allegation of what? Corruption as far as they are concerned, whatever position they've led, even at the private sector, in the private sector.
Yes.
And up to today, the achievements, in fact, let's even leave physical achievement. It means morality. This universal sentiment we talk about, these people are clothed with it. So if anybody is swimming with them, it means you believe. And in leadership, if you want to make a change, a maker as you are, there are people in Chelsea that will look at you and say, when I want to get into the media sector, I should also get to be like these people. There are people you already influencing, you don't know. Those people are also influencing other people. And if these people can do that, then Nigeria is on it. So for me, let's have even 100 political parties. The most important factor of it is that what will be, because the Holy Book says if the righteous are on the throne, the people will rejoice. But when the wicked are on the throne, the people will groan. Are Nigerians really rejoicing or we are groaning? Now, coming to subsidy you talked about, that's why I told you that the problem of Nigeria, I've never even allocated even 31% to the leaders. 70% is to the followers.
Wow.
If these people kicked against subsidy, told us it is bad.
But they were opposition. They're playing the role of an opposition party.
But if you listen to what I said earlier, that opposition is not to tear down. Opposition is an appraiser of the process. Then appraise where it was done right, give accolades. Then where it is done wrong, you draw attention so that one they cannot show up that process. Now, when they did that, we came up to the same people. Today, we are celebrating that act that happened on the very first day of taking over, to say that act, it is now courage. That leadership is courage. The question we asked, since we have done subsidy, in fact, let's even subsidy. During Buhari, TSA asked the question.
Yes.
TSA were told just October to November, we had about how many trillions? Yet, we are borrowing. Now, subsidy has gone off. The money this government has borrowed, in fact, by statistical analysis, it is in 2 or 3 years, it is more than what Buhari borrowed in 8 years.
Very true.
So now that we have removed, we are celebrating this courage. What has this brought to our table? Has school fees, in fact, it is through this period that even government, federal universities, the school fees have skyrocketed. What is the salary of the civil servant?
Oh, there is
You
TED
understand?
fund for
No,
them.
if you're talking about
There's now fund for students to take loan.
NEL fund, you are mortgaging my what future? Should you have also equipped those schools to a standard that even if it's no matter the amount I'm paying, it will be confident? This is also a way of what? Trying to get people, voters, into an election to say, I'm a beneficiary. Why should I borrow money to pay in a school that is not well equipped? Laboratories are not there. Even the workshops for the engineering students are not there. So if I borrow this money and pay, what now gives me the knowledge? They say, teach a man how to fish and don't give him a fish. When you are giving me money and you are not teaching me how to make up that money, are these people having jobs readily available? If you ask every Nigerian, promising you, just go on, in fact, just take this research. Even those who are working in the civil service, they are doing this job by chance. Not because that's really what they desire to do. Everybody is marking time at the work he or she is doing, waiting for a better job. Why should I become an appointee or a politician, then that's why I become rich all of a sudden? Why won't it be a gradual process? So we must also probe the process of what? Allocations of funds. Now, if they told us they've given this money back to the governors and the local government chairmen, what have they done with it? Is this money not supposed to also reduce? There's difference between standard of living and cost of living. Are Nigerians really enjoying even standard of living?
Okay,
Let
so
alone coming back to cost
we
of
don't.
living.
Let me get to Mr. Longa's thought
Okay.
because I've got a question I wanted to ask you.
Okay,
Your
okay.
thought on that quickly.
Okay, my thought on this is that Buhari borrowed about over 8 trillion naira in his administration. And currently, right now, Tinubu has borrowed more than 150 trillion naira, and he's still borrowing.
But
Now,
he says in the
in 3
record-
years, in
the-
3 years.
No, but hold on. But some would also argue against to say, hey, the records show that he's building long-term projects that will be beneficial for the country in 30, 40, 50
Where
years from
the
now.
money from
Okay, now
subsidy?
the question here is this: if you're talking about the growth of a nation, you understand when you're talking about the GDP of a nation. Once they say the GDP has risen, now there are economic indicators that will show that these things are real. You understand? For example, how will you declare what you have in your reserve? That, for example, that you have about $100 billion in your reserve, and again you're going to borrow. Why can't you use part of the $100 billion in your reserve for your investments?
Because the reserves are supposed to help you bolster your FX, value. But so we don't go there because I don't want us to veer off the conversation. My question is, if we say that opposition is part of Nigerian politics, I gave the example of 2015 to say that opposition hasn't made us a better people. He gave an example of Peter Obi in 2023 election and how it changed the ideology of Nigerians. But from then till now, has the Nigerian democratic process gotten better because of the presence of opposition? The answer could be a big fat no. So it means, and here's my argument, that maybe the idea of opposition, the textbook idea of opposition in Nigeria doesn't work. Maybe again, if you look at how we've been from 1999 till now, that the system that has worked, whether it is Obasanjo or Yar'Adua or Goodluck Jonathan Buhari or current president Mr. Tinubu, there has been no change in how the next party that comes into power has done things. They seem to have all done the same thing, the same way from 1999 till now.
Yes, it will interest you to know that the system of leadership in Nigeria has been recycled time over time. There has not been change in most policies, developmental strategies that are being put in place. Because when you're talking about developing a nation, man must be the beginning, the center, and the end of it. In a situation whereby we keep on recycle leaders on and on. Oppositions has really helped Nigeria time pass. That's why we've been having change of
How?
government. No,
How
I want to
has
say
it been?
something. If at all there has not been opposition, the matter could have been worse in Nigeria.
Quite true.
No, but all of
If
them
not
have the same
because there is no
ideology.
opposition, because when you open your state, people are being killed. In Bauchi state, people are being killed. What comes into your mind? That particular issue also throw a question to those who are leaders of this country. And you could see that the media houses as well, because it has served as a medium whereby the common man called through phone to say that I am from Birkin Ladi local government in Joel village. There was attack in this place yesterday, this and that. Now the media house talk about it, and then the securities in those areas began to question themselves, what is their primary objectivity? So we cannot really say that opposition has not really helped in building democracy in Nigeria. To some extent, it has helped. But for us to be more objective, they need to step up to ensure
Chelsea,
that
your question.
So building what kind of democracy? Because the whole idea of opposition is fresh ideas, fresh perspective. We can do this better. We can do this differently. He said we have had a chain of people doing things, and instead of seeing better results, we've been seeing worse results. PDP came, 16 years, things were a little better. APC came, things are worse. So what's the whole idea of opposition when everybody's coming with the same ideologies, the same techniques, doing the same thing, and we're not seeing better results for the average man?
Okay, you remember I said the world is being ruled by system. Even Nigeria is ruled by a very complex system. You could see that the power that has been in Nigeria since from 1999 till today, it is their tentacle that is still moving and ruling the people. And the people fail to understand, for example, if you are an ordinary citizen who want to vie for the position of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the party you're going to contest under it is telling you that you're going to purchase a form for 60 million naira. How much do you have as a person? And even if you borrow that money to contest for that particular position, at the end, if you win, what are you going to do with that? You're going to make sure that you recoup your money back. So for a system to work, it is a joint collaboration by having people who are conforming followers to set in place standards of having leaders that are going to be societal so that they can be able to carry on with the mandate of leading the people and governing the people based on the dictates of the
Let's
law.
pick our first call for the day. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and your location. You have 1 minute, please.
This is Saint Benedict calling in from Serengeti right now.
Saint Benedict, please go on.
Emeka, on such wonderful, thank you. On such wonderful discussion, please. It is either you allow the callers to, engage in this particular conversation because it is about opposition, it's about politics. And quickly, I want to say something before my 1 minute will exhaust. That we don't have opposition, sir. Sorry for your guess about your thoughts on this particular issues. We don't have opposition in Nigeria because why? The ruling party has actually crippled the opposition. And yes, Wiki has come out to say that it's going to hold the PDP. It is on the public media. Everybody knows it. When you're saying it, I was not there, but I saw it. That he said that he's going to hold the PDP, which is the major opposition, for the president come 2027. And nobody, not even the media, questioned him on that particular issue. Now, that particular thing he said has come to play today, in that every other senator, almost all the whole House of Rep members, have defected to the APC. The media houses, unfortunately, have also defected to the APC. Because if you want to say things the way they are, as an opposition that you are an individual opposition. One of your guests mentioned that Julius Malema was only a single man who stood against the sitting president and called him a thief. I watched the video is still on my channel phone here that I still have here with me. And who can do that in Nigeria? And that is where the benefit of opposition. When a particular man will come out and be stronger than the institution. If the institution is not working, even the media cannot say things the way it is.
All right, thank you.
Will stood at you. And that is why the presidency, the Nigerian government, the APC have killed opposition in Nigeria.
Thank you. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning. 1 minute, please. Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and your location, please.
Yeah, my name is Sadiq Umar. I'm calling from Teacher and Teacher.
Sadiq Umar, you've got 1 minute, quickly.
Yeah, I will comment your guest. They have spoken very, very well. You see, when we look at opposition in Nigeria, whether we like it or not, opposition is working direct or indirectly.
Okay.
Let me give an example here in Plateau State. We have seen when the governor come on board under the platform of PDP. That time, APC is the ruling party at the national, but they are the opposition at the state level. So the kind of work the governor is doing at that time is very, very impressive. The extent that every locality, everywhere is appreciated, everybody is applauding the governor. But unfortunately, when the governor comes to APC, you see, it just happened like magic. Everything just stopped once. And the people have cried to continuity of that thing, and it has not continued. You see, this is an example of clear opposition. I didn't mean that it's an opposition that will be frustrated and be checking the government. It will be clear. And it's just like what Benedict have said. The opposition have already been destroyed by the ruling party. That is the reality.
All right, thank you so much, Sadiq Umar.
How let's say, FCC are checking the opposition is very, very undemocratic.
Thank you so much. I'll pick one more call. Hello, good morning. Apologies there.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Emeka.
Your name and your location,
Thank you
please.
very much. My name is Kaka, calling from Buku.
In 1 minute.
Yes, I listened to your guests very carefully, and they really do justice to the question you're asking them. But Emeka will continue to see this kind of a problem once the concentration of the power is at the center. That's why whenever a politician come out, he will never tell you what he's going to do, what he will do to change what we are going through. But he's after the power because it is being concentrated at the center. So once that kind of a thing is happening, the whole institutions will collapse. We're building, at the end of the day, we'll be building an emperor. Well, at the end of the day, he will be building his own empire. We will just call them Godfather. That's what. That's an emperor. He will decide with his people. He dictates whatever happens. So that's why this opposition, you always see them trying to be at the center there because that is where the power is. That is where they can do and undo.
Thank you so much for calling. We'd love to pick more calls, but we're out of time. In 30 or 10 seconds, your final words, Mr. Longcat.
Okay, I believe that opposition should be a continuous thing in Nigerian democracy so that we can be able to keep those who are in leadership on their toes to do what is expected of them so that the dividends of democracy will be seen in all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria.
That's out of my final words.
For me, opposition is not confined to political party that does not make it to the center of power. Opposition is a collective responsibility of agitators for good governance, which means every citizen of Nigeria, every institution in Nigeria is an opposition to ensure that good governance is given. And by and large, again, there's a conscription in the electoral that you cannot belong to two political parties. It doesn't stop you, it's for you not to contest, but you can move to a political party to support an ideology that you feel does not support what was where you were. So even with these primaries, it does not inhibit any other person from the APC to move up to any party that feels that it will bring a better interest for Nigerians.
Chelsea, your final words.
So do not let the situation of this country compromise your integrity. Get your PVC today.
Like I always say, forgive your oppressors if you must, but do not ever forget what they've done to you. The news comes up by 10 a.m. Bye, people.
Are you ready?
Is it magic? Magic. Oh, we are a miracle. J101.9 FM. 24/7 hit music station.
Hits.
All right, let's go.
Hey, yeah, now Rabi, with Orabi, but it's strong, my mouth is fresh, he clean well, oh, now Orabi, strong teeth Orabi, fresh bread Orabi, 24/7 with Orabi, strong teeth Orabi.
Give on our teeth 24 hours protection. Use Orabi today. Na Nigerian Dental Association. Tanda Gidigba with Orabi.
Ah, I found something inside my Nescafe Original 3-in-1 pack the other day. A unique code printed inside.
Yes, so every pack of Nescafe Original 3-in-1 now comes with a code inside in the Nescafe Next Level promo. Just text the code to *7022# and you could win 500,000 naira cash, business tools, and training. Up to 1 million naira in prizes to be won. Promo runs until June 30th, 2026. T's and C's apply. Nescafe. Make your world.
Chai, my head oh. Oga landlord, why you dey shake like ceiling fan? Eh? My village people don't come again oh. This one with your body hot so, you don't do test? Yes, see result oh. Oga landlord, no be your village people oh. Na malaria, you need Luta. Luta na better medicine wey dey knack down malaria. Oya see am, take am. Thank you Oga Luta. I don't dey kampe.
Luta, brand of Artemeta and Lumefantrine, is another quality product from Hovid, marketed by Pharmatex Nigeria Limited. If symptoms persist after 3 days, see your doctor.
Everybody say thanks, Luther. Malaria's in big trouble.
Even in Nigeria, that hot pounded yam and soup can't wait because a penalty is about to be taken. Deadlines, emails, and presentations can't wait. Even if the match goes into extra time, we are watching. Sleep can't wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026 starts June 11th to July 19th. All 104 games, pigeon commentary, and 4 dedicated channels. Yes, everything can wait. Enjoy the FIFA World Cup live on SuperSport for as low as 6,000 naira per month. Only on DSTV.
is now. Every silent year is taking its bow. The crowd that ignored you learned your name tonight. Everything you paid for stepping into the light. The moment now it arrived right here. El sacrificio ahora más alto que el miedo. No second version of this, crystal clear. Estás exactamente donde siempre debiste estar. No one runs alone, nadie corre solo. We run. No one runs alone, todos juntos under the sun. Corremos, corremos, carrying each other's weight. No one runs alone, it has never been too late.
Behind every champion, a village stands quiet. Behind every trophy, 1,000 sleepless nights. Your story is never just yours to tell. Every hand that pushed you helped you excel.
The moment, now wait.
This is JFM 101.9.
JFM News is the confluence of all sides of the news stories.
A great morning it is. Good morning, Plateau.
Good afternoon to you. Good evening. Welcome to the news update at
You're
4.
listening to J11.9 FM.
Deeply detailed beyond just the surface structure.
Dati Baba Ahmed denies declaring presidential.
And also urges government to review wages and tax
Governor
policies.
Mutfwang, Professor Yilwada launch e-registration.
Jerome Hughes accused Macbad of complicity in latest attacks.
Fearless reportage.
I've never been involved in any fraudulent activity. With your support, we are going to get there.
Daring and going where others dread.
We will pursue the cause of plan. It's been long
give them their money directly. So if you want,
I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action.
JFM News. Swift, legitimate, and faultless.
Thank you for choosing J101.9 FM. Welcome to the news now. Today is the 21st day of May 2026. First, the top stories. APC party explains governorship and State House of Assembly results announcement process in Plateau. Tinubu says all subsidy exchange rate cabals wish he dead. Federal government begins payment of outstanding scholarship to foreign students. I am Lisa Lanks Onazi. Glad to have you here.
Live from Just Nigeria, this is the news.
Delving into the news proper, the All Progressive Congress APC party has said that the result announcement for governorship and state assembly direct primaries in Plateau State will be declared at the ward and local government coalition centers. Chairman of the governorship and state House of Assembly elections, Honorable Fidelis Myin, made this known during a press briefing at the party secretariat in Jos. He noted that after announcement at the local government, the results were thereafter be submitted to his committee for transmission to the party headquarters in Abuja. Honorable Fidelis expressed optimism that the governorship primaries will go on smoothly, just like the other exercises held across the state in previous days. On national news,